Flagship Pioneering, that's the firm that founded Moderna, has raised a new $3.4 billion fund to invest in biotech companies. Meg Terrell joins us right now with a special guest. Meg, good to see you.
Good to see you, Becky. That special guest is Noubar Afeyan, the founder and CEO of Flagship Pioneering, the chairman of Moderna. Noubar, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks for being with us. Tell us about this massive fund you just closed and what $3.4 billion in investment signals about either investors' confidence in Flagship through what Moderna has accomplished in this pandemic, or do you think it signals a broader appetite for biotech overall, also given the importance of it through this pandemic?
Well, Meg, it's great to be here with you. I think it signals both things. On the one hand, over the last year, the impact Moderna had and the bio platform of messenger RNA that was really created 10 years ago and developed over that period of time, as well as many other companies coming to fruition in that time frame, each having significant impact on human health through their products. I think that, plus more broadly, biotechnology being more and more visible as to the impact it can have in the long term. I think these are things that certainly have attracted both public market investors and, in our case, private investors to really allow us to fuel the next generation of these platform companies.
One of the areas that you've highlighted as a source of focus is what you call health security. And in one sense, I think about this as preventing the next pandemic. And I just wonder if you can explain how you see that as an investable area. I mean, is this surveillance? How does this make sense from an investment point of view to really focus on this? Obviously, it makes sense from a global security point of view, but from a Flagship Pioneering perspective.
Sure, Meg. I think this is a space that's just in its infancy, and it's really all about we tend to think about health as though when it expires, we become sick. But in fact, there's a fairly long journey in any disease. We're seeing it in infectious disease where a lot of things build up to the point where we have a pandemic, but as well in cardiovascular disease and Alzheimer's and cancer, there is a condition broadly that we view as pre-disease, that the same tools we've been using to try to find new targets to go after disease can also be used upstream of that. So by thinking about preemptive medicine, what we're just inviting folks to think about is how can we make new tools, technologies, and interventions that allow us to act much earlier than when the disease is in its full bloom and therefore very difficult to handle. Not only do we need capital to do that, we also need solutions. We need innovation. And that innovation, in turn, needs capital and a long-term point of view to allow all of this to happen. But I'm quite convinced that this pandemic, with the trillions of dollars of lost economic value, will cause us to reconsider whether our current definition of healthcare, which is largely about sick care, about disease care, should not also be expanded to include upstream preemptive medicine with the same science being applied to greater effect.
Of course, we're still in this pandemic, and you're the chairman of Moderna. Tell us how you are looking at sort of the future of Moderna's vaccine with booster shots potentially being needed. What are you expecting for the timing of those, as well as for the vaccine becoming available to more broadly to the rest of the world?
Well, indeed, the last year or so has gone from conception and first human data about a year ago in our phase 1 trials, which were the first to show that mRNA could even be feasible in this application, to today, the deployment of hundreds of millions of mRNA vaccine doses with a lot more in a pipeline to come. We are obviously following the variants and their development. Some of them are spreading relatively quickly, and our boosters particularly are being tested both with new mRNA sequences that can attack the variants very specifically, but also we're trying it in combination with the original 1273 vaccine. So all of that work, science is basically battling back in the form of newer and newer products, even while the virus is itself fighting back. In terms of looking at the rest of the world, we're quite pleased. Over a few weeks ago, we have both received WHO approval to be able to supply our vaccine more broadly in the world, but also the COVAX relationship of 500 million doses. That's just the start for us. We really look forward to expanding that over the next year, and we'd like to have as much impact for this, which is a global pandemic. We're not going to solve this by only focusing on just a few countries. So we're glad to be able to participate in that.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.